So, a new plan was just proposed that would add $1.5 trillion in funding to Social Security benefits. That's the subject of today's video. Guys, take a look at these headlines. New plan proposed to save Social Security benefits. Our bipartisan plan could rescue Social Security. They estimate it would take $1.5 trillion of an upfront investment. So let's talk about this plan and exactly how this could affect Social Security benefits. Before we jump into it, guys, please like and subscribe if you like these updates. I keep you guys posted when it comes to Social Security benefits, what's been proposed, potential things in the pipeline, what's happening in the economy, and just everything with politics as well. So guys, thank you so much for joining us. Let's take a quick look. Before we jump into it, quick reminder to call our partner Chapter. They offer free help when it comes to Medicare and choosing your plan. Call that number down below. Let's jump right into it, guys. New plan proposed to save Social Security. Let's take a quick look and see exactly what this is. This is essentially something that they're expecting would add $1.5 trillion in funding to Social Security and could have a massive impact on your benefits down the road. Remember, guys, currently the trust fund is running at a deficit. You know this. And now with the new big, beautiful bill, it's expected to be depleted 1 year sooner in 2023, at which point benefits would be cut to about 75 to 80% of what they are. So we need a plan to essentially prevent this, to secure benefits, and hopefully increase them. And before I jump into it, guys, let's take a quick look here. This is Bill Cassidy. He's a Republican senator. This is Tim Kaine, a Democratic senator. They proposed this together. And interestingly enough, that was actually Hillary Clinton's vice president nominee when she ran. I know that might make you not like him, but he's trying to help Social Security. So let's give him a chance here and let's take a look. A bipartisan pair of senators have floated a bold new solution to the insolvency crisis facing Social Security, which they say could save the program within a decade. Now, the potential depletion of the trust fund has long been an issue, and we all know now it could be depleted as early as 2023 after the passing of the big, beautiful bill. Now, the two senators who have in the past advocated for various reforms of the embattled Social Security program unveiled their plan on Tuesday publicly. So this was just yesterday as of making this video. Now, the pair said this proposal would preserve full benefits for Americans while aiming to address the program's critical funding shortfall. Their proposal centers on creating a new parallel investment of $1.5 trillion into Social Security benefits. So let's explain. This would be a parallel investment fund for Social Security invested in a blend of stock, bonds, and other investments. Quick reminder that I've partnered with Chapter to connect my viewers with licensed Medicare agents who offer free, no obligation help. Chapter's licensed agents can help you understand Medicare and your plan options. Give them a call at 334-581-6390 to speak with someone and see what's available. Their services are provided at no cost to you. Okay, so essentially this would be a parallel investment fund, not replacing the trust fund, but added on top of it in parallel and starting with a $1.5 trillion seed. Let's take a look. So the Treasury would temporarily shoulder the burden of providing benefits to Social Security beneficiaries, but when the new fund's 75 years are up, it would pay the Treasury back and then supplement payroll taxes to fill the future gap. So let me just summarize this. The trust fund is running at a deficit. That deficit is slowly depleting the trust fund, and it should be depleted by 2023, at which point benefits would probably be cut unless something is done. What they're proposing here is creating an additional fund, a separate fund, funding that with $1.5 trillion. That would essentially be a loan to the federal government from the Treasury. So that would add to the deficit, of course, that's controversial. And then that would be locked up for 75 years and allowed to grow. And that would be basically invested in stocks, which a lot of people think is controversial. I think if it's a separate fund and it's done conservatively when it comes to investing in stocks, meaning broadly diversified, probably in the S&P 500, that's fine. As long as it's an additional fund. It's not touching the existing fund, it's creating an additional one. Now, that would add to the deficit, which we all know is terrible right now. We keep talking about that. But the government continues to run at a deficit. Check this out. In 2024, the federal government ran at a $1.8 trillion deficit. Okay? Now, the Social Security Trust Fund deficit was about $140 billion. So if the federal government is creating a $1.8 trillion deficit in general in any given year, why can't they add an additional $140 billion to protect Social Security benefits, right? If that makes sense. So essentially, they would create that fund, lock that up for 75 years, allow that to grow, and then ideally that would be able to fund Social Security benefits indefinitely once they unlock that. And in the meantime, every single year, the Treasury would essentially give the federal government a loan to pay Social Security benefits to kind of fill that gap of the deficit between what's being brought in from taxes and what's being paid out for benefits, if that makes sense. Now, of course, that would add to the deficit, which is very controversial. We've been talking about that for years at this point. But like we said, they're already running at a deficit, right? So a deficit is okay for everything else except Social Security benefits. Now, don't get me wrong. They need to long-term find a way to fix the deficit. We should be running at a surplus. But in the meantime, the longer they wait to fix the Social Security problem, the worse it's going to get. Now, these two senators, again, Bill Cassidy, who's a Republican, and Tim Kaine, who is a Democrat, they tend to be relatively moderate relative to their parties. And they've come together and they actually released an article on the Washington Post, and this is what they said. If Congress doesn't act, the Social Security Trust Fund will be insolvent as soon as 2023, and millions of Americans who have been paying into the program will see a significant portion of their benefits cut. We're going to skip ahead a little bit here because that's something we don't already know. Now, the most recent Social Security trustees report that payroll tax revenue will fall short more than $25 trillion over the next 75 years if the trust fund becomes insolvent. We propose creating an additional investment fund in parallel to the trust fund, not replacing it, that would be invested in stocks, bonds, etc., which would generate a higher rate of return. Again, with a higher risk comes with higher reward typically, especially in the stock market. You don't want your trust fund being risked with Social Security, but this would be an additional fund, not replacing the existing trust fund. So you'd still get those bond investments in the existing trust fund and then this additional fund, which would be seeded by a loan from the Treasury to the federal government, which I'm all for, right? Again, we're creating all these deficits for everything else. Why not add a little more on there to protect Social Security? Now, a substantial majority of Americans are concerned about Social Security. Now, the risk can be effectively managed by putting in place guardrails. Now, people are worried that, what would this be invested in? That is something to worry about. Are they going to invest this properly? Are they going to diversify? Would it be, if it was passed, would it be something where, hedge funds would get their hands on it and it would be invested in something that's not necessarily good for the American people? These are all things that would have to be worked out, and they're saying that they would put guardrails in place. They would audit this every single year. But this is essentially what they're proposing, guys. They're talking about doing a $1.5 trillion investment, creating a second fund, putting that in the stock market, letting it grow for 75 years. In the meantime, while that grows, allowing the federal government to every year take a loan from the Treasury to fund Social Security benefits to make sure nothing's cut. Now, one interesting idea that's been proposed as well is the fact that Trump is talking about doing all these tariffs. Whether you think the tariffs are good or bad, let me know in the comments below. But in any case, one idea that's been floated is if the tariffs were to work, why not use that revenue to fund Social Security benefits as well, to not only protect benefits, but hopefully potentially increase them as well? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. One, do you think tariffs are a good idea to begin with? And if you do you think they should use that money to fund Social Security benefits as well? It's an interesting idea, guys, because let's be honest here. They're either going to have to increase taxes on people on the payroll tax, or they're going to have to find creative ways to fund Social Security if they're going to keep it solvent. So, guys, let's take a quick look here. Trump made a recent announcement about the tariffs. Let's take a look and see what he said.
We're going to be announcing pharmaceuticals, chips, and various couple of other things, big ones. We did seal, as you know, they're 50%. We did aluminum, 50%. Lumber just came out.
Why don't you announce copper?
And we did cars. And now, today we're doing copper.
Copper and lumber. What would that tariff be on? The section tariff?
I believe the tariff on copper, we're going to make it 50%.
50%.
What he's doing there, Kelly, is he's
Okay, so Trump continues to play the tariff game. He's talking about taking tariffs away, putting tariffs back. No one's really sure exactly what's going to happen with that, but something to kind of keep in the back of your mind. If you support the tariffs or if you're unsure about the tariffs, this could potentially raise revenue for Social Security benefits as well. Again, Trump hasn't specifically said that himself, but the longer they wait to fix this issue, just the bigger the problem's going to get, right? Because while they have the money to invest, there's a greater chance of preventing that from falling off a cliff, as opposed to once there's nothing left, now you have less options, right? But let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Again, there's a bipartisan proposal from a Republican senator and a Democratic senator. That's Bill Cassidy and Tim Kaine. They're known for being relatively moderate. They've come together. They've proposed this plan to invest $1.5 trillion into a second Social Security trust fund. Again, not replacing the existing ones, just creating an additional one to help fund benefits, protect benefits, make sure that benefits are not cut, and hopefully, if things go well, even potentially increase benefits. You know, on this channel, we advocate for increasing benefits for those who need the money, those who are lower income to moderate income, and finding ways to fund that through various creative ways. So this is the latest proposal, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you guys want to check this out, in the comments below after I'm done with this, I'll post the links to these articles so you guys can read them yourselves. But it's good to see that there is something being proposed, right? There is something being proposed to help those who are on Social Security benefits. Once again, guys, thank you so much for being here. Please like and subscribe if you like these updates. And again, don't forget to call our partner chapter. Phone number is on the screen there. They'll help you out. Free help when it comes to picking your Medicare plan. Thank you so much, guys. Hope you're doing well. I will keep you posted as things develop, and I hope to see you on the next video.